What is an API? If you're in tech in any capacity, this is probably a term you've heard thrown around quite a bit. So as application developers, we're always looking at things in the real world, right? People, organizations, goods, actions, and we're thinking about how these things translate to data structures. A person can have eye color and hair color and height. And if we think of a collection of these people, each person being a record in a database, we can create an API that can manipulate these data structures. And the whole point of having this API is that in order to manipulate these records, there's probably going to be a pretty good deal of low-level, complicated, more or less unreadable code that needs to be run. Well, what often happens is that we as application developers don't necessarily need to know about or think about all of this low-level code that's actually going through the database and changing records. We can abstract away this code, right? This is a great technical word for non-technical folks to know. Abstraction. When we talk about it in the context of software engineering, it means we're taking some less intelligible stuff and hiding it behind some more intelligible stuff. So we abstract away this low-level code behind some code which is much more readable, right? It's much more closer to spoken English, if this, then that, etc. So at the very lowest level of computing, we have this concept of a byte, the smallest unit of digital information. And hardware engineers have figured out how to represent bytes in terms of electrical current, pulses of light, and the engineers who built database software like MySQL or Postgres figured out a way to take a whole bunch of low-level code manipulating these bytes in memory or on a disk or on a network and arranging them and rearranging them behind something called a query language, something like SQL. And SQL is, in effect, an API. It's a common set of instructions for querying, searching, manipulating, and processing lower-level data. So the problem with something like SQL is that it's basically a whole other language to learn. What if I'm a JavaScript developer and I don't want to learn SQL? There's this great thing called an ORM, which we can use to essentially write JavaScript instructions for manipulating our database records, and the ORM will automatically translate our JavaScript instructions to SQL commands, which the database will understand. So we just start thinking about these layers and layers of complicated instructions being hidden behind simple instructions. That, in essence, is what an API is. Each API layer hides the complexity of the layers below it by providing a clean data model. And these abstractions allow different groups of people, for example, the database engineers using SQL and the application developers using JavaScript, to work together effectively. If you like videos like this, please let me know in the comments, follow me for more, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.